Hi, my name is Logan Collins, and this is my persuasive speech on the importance of voting. But before we begin on the importance of voting, I think it's very important to understand the voting system at the federal and state level. So, to begin with, at the federal level, we have what we call the Electoral College. And the Electoral College was founded by our founding fathers as a compromise between the president and Congress. And the purpose of the Electoral College is to elect the president when the election is done. And usually the election takes place in the first month, the first Tuesday in November. And so the process in which the Electoral College is done is we as citizens vote for the electorals or the electoral candidates who will then vote for the president, which means you vote for the electorals in your state, which will then vote for the president. In most states, it is a winner-take-all system, which means whichever candidate wins the state takes all the electoral votes. But in Maine and Nebraska, they have what they call a proportional system, in which each candidate, based on the amount of votes they get, will get a proportion of the electorals that they have. And it's very important that we know this because it helps to help us realize what we are actually voting for. We're not actually voting for the president, but we're just voting for the electorals that will then vote for the president, which means in most states, whichever candidate wins the state wins all the electorals and gets the most votes. So I think it's very important that we understand this system, and it'll help us really understand why and who we are voting for and what we are actually voting for. In the state of Georgia, our voting system's a little bit different, but not too different from the federal level. In order to vote in Georgia, you must be 18 years of age, and you can register at 17 and a half years of age, but must be 18 at the time of the actual voting. We also have policies that regulate our voting process and everything. In order to register to vote, you must be a citizen of the state, and you also must have a driver's license when going to vote at your polling place. Now, you can register online or at most post offices and other government buildings, and there's also early voting in Georgia, which early voting is when it gives the opportunity for the public to come and vote early, such as in primaries and other elections. And primaries in Georgia are based on voting for the political party candidate in which you believe to be the candidate that you want to choose. And we also vote on other laws and other things that would affect the state and cause us to really need to draw attention to. So I think it's important to understand the voting systems at the federal and state level, because each provides a different understanding of what you're actually voting for. So at the federal level, you're voting for the presidential candidate, or the electorals for the presidential candidate, and at the state level, you're actually voting for the political party that you choose and some laws as well. And the registration is very similar, but in most states, and it's very common for people to not want to vote because registering is seen as hard, but it's very easy. In fact, it's just a small form you have to fill out. To me, voting is very important because it's a way for us to exercise our rights as citizens and demonstrate that we are faithful and loyal to our country, and that we want to see it grow and prosper. And as citizens, it is our duty and it is our right to vote as citizens, which allows us to continue to act as a normal functioning society and continue to work based on what we believe and what we believe to our leaders' values should be and what our laws should be. And so I take voting very seriously, and I advocate voting for everyone who's of the age, and to do it legally and right. There shouldn't be any illegals voting or any people voting for dead people or voting twice. I believe that one person should vote one time and one time only in each election, and it's very important that we do this. To begin with, why I believe that voting is very important, I would like to state that is a right given by the state and the federal government for us to choose who leads our nation and our communities, and at the state level as well. And so this opportunity for us to choose who we actually vote and see their morals and values and what they actually will strive for during their time in candidacy, I believe is very important, and it is our service as citizens to exercise our right to vote, because it will give others in our community a guiding beacon in order for us to come together and make correct legislative and executive decisions that impact our state, community, and the federal level. But it also allows us to control who and is in the candidacy or the position that they're in, and we really need to look at these people when we're deciding who we're voting for, because if they don't agree with our moral agenda or what we really want to push for and what's really affecting us in our society, it really hinders our ability to work efficiently, and we're not as socially aware, which is my another point I'd like to bring up. When voting, you're more socially aware of what's going on in your community and at the federal level, and you understand what issues are more pressing, such as an immigration crisis that is affecting us, and an opioid epidemic, and also at the state level, we can see more what's happening in our communities and what we really need to focus on as a state, such as the heartbeat bill being passed is a very efficient law for us as Georgians to limit the amount of abortions and infant mortality rate, so that we can have more citizens and more people with the right to vote. Not only is voting important and allows us to be more socially aware, it also encourages us to continue our education and continue others around us to be more aware of their surroundings as well. If you are likely to vote, more than likely a family member, a friend, or those you encourage around you in the workplace and at school will also vote. And this will also, as a community, will make us more socially aware and politically aware of what is going on around us and what important facts and issues need to be really pressed in our government. And I feel like if more people are to encourage others and to continue to vote, we will be more prosperous as a country and more united instead of divided, and continue to strive to work together as citizens for the land, liberty, and opportunity that we deserve. Voting takes too much time, and this is not true. Voting is a very simple and quick process. It's very easy to do and takes little time at all, and allows for us as citizens to continue our day without much hassle. Another example of a con is, the lines are too long. The lines are really never too long until you wait till the last minute, which is why there's always early voting in Georgia, and I always advocate for people to vote early and vote often. One more example of a con is my vote doesn't matter, which in fact is not true. Everyone's vote matters and makes a difference. Everyone's vote allows for them to be more socially aware, educated, and as well as more well addressed on topics and issues that should be addressed in our community. Everyone's vote does matter, and voting is a very important process for everyone to do. It is our right as citizens to vote, and I believe that it is our duty and it is a given right from the state and federal government that allows us to exercise our control over them and really show who's in charge. We the people, as they state in the Declaration of Independence, are in charge of our own destinies, and we all have the right to land, liberty, opportunity, and to continue our lives as we wish and please.